All right, let's look at some fraction and decimal type questions. So the first type of question we want to look at is percentage change, or usually that'll be like percent discount. So that's always, question will be like something, cost something and now it's on sale and what percent discount did you get? Okay, so like in this one, we're going to say plane ticket costs, so it was 400 and now it's on sale for 300. Okay, so it was 400, now it's 300. What percent discount? Okay, so you just have to commit, there's one formula you need to commit to your memory, and then all these questions become much, much easier. Okay, and that is new minus old divided by old. So I'll write that down here. So, and then explain it here in a second if that doesn't make sense as I say that. So you have new minus old divided by old. Okay, that is a very important formula for percent discount, right? And so I put was and now, right? So the new price is 300, right? In our little problem that we did, right? On the plane ticket. So price right now is 300. That's the new price. Old price, 400. Okay. All over old, right? What was the old price? 400, right? Okay. And so getting this part right, the old price, is really the key. Because if you put it over the new price, you're going to come up with a very different answer, right? If you have 300 down here, if you have 300 rather than 400, you're going to get the wrong answer, unfortunately. Okay, so making sure that it's new minus old divided by old, not divided by new. That's a big deal. Okay, so then 300 minus 400, that's negative 100. All over 400. Okay, and so we can reduce that down, right? So we can cross out these zeros, and we can cross out these zeros, and we just have negative 1/4. Okay, and so 1/4 as a percentage, 1/4 equals 0.25, right? Or 25%. And that's your answer. It's a 25% discount. Negative 1/4 or 25% discount. Same thing, right? So just for the purposes of showing why we need to actually spend the time to memorize that little formula. Okay, so if instead of new minus old divided by old, you had done new minus old divided by new, right? So you'd gone 300 minus 400 over 300. Then we would have ended up with, sorry, let me erase a bunch of this stuff. Then we would have ended up with still negative 100 in the numerator on the top, right? But then down here, we would have had 300. And then again, same thing with the zeros. We can cross off. And then we have negative 1/3. So that would have been 33%. And so it's not a 33% discount, it's a 25% discount. That's pretty significant difference in getting the answer wrong. And that will be an answer choice, almost for sure, right? Is that almost for sure that's an answer choice that they're hoping that you might guess at? I mean, they probably want you to do well, but they're trying to make it hard for you. So that will be an answer choice on the test. So anyway, kind of long drawn out explanation, I suppose, but we need to know new minus old divided by old, not divided by new. So I'm going to leave that little formula up there as we sort of move on to different types of questions. Just hoping that it sticks in your brain. Okay, so next one will be cost per serving. Okay, so here's another little story. So there's a box of cookies. They cost $4, and in the box there's 12 servings. What is the cost per serving? Okay. Okay, so as we look at that, so it said, so we have a box, right? Box of cookies. And sometimes it helps us to write this stuff out. $4, 12 servings, right? 12 servings. And they want to know cost per serving. Okay. So as you sort of look at this, we got 12 servings, $4, right? So as you sort of just look at this before you even start doing the math, is you know it has to be less than $1 per serving, right? Because if it was $12 and 12 servings, that would be exactly $1 per serving. But it's only $4, right? So it's got to be like a lot less than $1 per serving. So if you have that in your mind, that already you might be able to eliminate a couple answers. Okay, and that's a big part of doing this a lot of the time is can we eliminate answers before we even have to do any math, right? And if we can, that our chances of at least guessing right certainly go up. Because maybe even if we did the math wrong and we could eliminate two answers, well, now we got 50-50 chance of getting it right rather than 1 in 4. Okay, so again, it's cost, which is dollars, right? And so that's 4, right, per serving, right, divided by 12. Okay, and you're going to think, I thought it was harder than this. Okay, 4 divided by 12 can be reduced to 1/3. Divide each side by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So it's 1/3. And when you see this number, 1/3 is, so it's 1/3 of $1. Yeah? 1/3 of $1. What is 1/3 of $1? 33 cents. And that is our cost per serving, is 33 cents. Okay. And that's really all you have to do, right? So where people sometimes mess this one up is instead of 4 divided by 12, they do this. They go 12, they go like serving per cost or something. They go 12 divided by 4 and then come up with an answer of $3, right? Because 12 divided by 4 equals 3. And that will probably be an answer choice. Again, this is what they do, is if we mess up with the formula, then our answers are wrong and it's one of the answer choices, right? But if we remembered from the very beginning of this question, where we said it definitely had to be less than $1, just based on like math common sense, and if you have that in your mind, then you know there's no way the answer can be 3, right? And that'll keep you from making that mistake. So using the math common sense and practicing it so that you know how to use it is a big deal that will be very useful for you on the math on this test. Okay. And we still remember new minus old divided by old. Okay. We're not going back to it, but just making sure that one's hopefully slowly but surely sticking in our mind. And then we have some decimal type questions. Okay. So like we'll start with a simpler one. Right. So if I see 0.25 and then it says what is that as a fraction, hopefully I know that 0.25 is 25 out of 100, right? And if I divide each of these by 25, then I can reduce that down to 1/4. Okay, so that would be a fairly simple one. Okay, what about this? And this is just getting used to some of these numbers. So what if I see 10 out of 25, and they ask me what is that as a decimal? Okay, and so what I want to know is like, is there an easy way where I can get the denominator, this number right here, to 100, right? And if I can do that, then whatever the numerator is, that's going to be the answer. Okay, so 25 times 4 is 100, right? Okay, so I'm just going to multiply whatever I do on the bottom, I got to do on the top, equals 40 out of 100. Yes, everybody's still with me, hopefully, on this one, right? And that means the decimal is 0.4 or 0.40. Okay. Still not too bad, right? And so like numbers that you're going to see a lot, like that you where you can get it to 100, like 25 is common, 20 is common, 20 times 5 is 100, you know. But occasionally you can get one that's tougher. So we'll look at an example of that. But partly, like so 10 times 10 is 100, 20 times 5 is 100, 50 times 2 is 100. Those are numbers that you'll see a lot in the in that denominator. Okay, so what if you get this? What if they give you 3/7? Okay, and they say what decimal does 3/7 equal? Okay, so that one's trickier, right? Because if I'm trying to get 100 in the denominator, I'm not really it's not obvious to me what number I have to multiply 7 by to get it to be 100. Okay, so you're going to have to set up a formula. I'll show you how to do that. But before you get there, again, I want to talk about the common sense part, right? So especially if you're not confident in your math, is thinking, okay, I got 3/7. Okay, so 3/7 is a little bit less than a half, right? 4/7 is a little bit more than a half. 3.5 divided by 7 is exactly a half or 50%. So I know already in my mind is I'm looking for answers less than 50%, right? And what I'm looking for is then I look at the answer choices and see like there's going to be at least one answer that's greater than 50%, maybe even two, right? And when I see that, I can cross those out. But I also know like 3/7 is probably kind of close to 50%, right? Since 4/7 is greater than 50. So it's probably somewhere in the 40%. That's what I'm looking at. Okay. And there will probably be two answer choices somewhere there in that 40 something percent. Okay. So again, doing that kind of stuff first is going to help you a ton. 3/7 equals some number that we don't know out of 100. This is how you set up the formula. Okay. And then we're trying to solve for x. Okay, so 3/7 equals something over 100. Okay, and now from here I have to cross multiply. Okay, and so 7 times x is 7x, and 100 times 3 is 300. Okay, this is how you solve these kind of things. From here, divide each side by 7, and x is going to be 300 divided by 7, whatever that number is. Okay, so it ends up that if you do the math and you divide 300 by 7, that if you round up, that number comes out to be 43%. Okay, and so like we said, it ended up being in that 40 something percent. So without even knowing how to do any of the math, as I could have probably guessed within like 5% or so that it was going to be like 40 something percent. And so that should help us to eliminate a couple of answers. And that's a big part of doing this. Probably seems like I'm repeating myself a lot, but that is a big deal as far as do that. And then, even if you're just guessing from there, it'll still help you improve your scores if you're struggling with the math.